to get right into questions. Obviously, been the busy and exciting day. I think I'd just first like to start by commending the work of our entire front office, our scouts, player development. This is really just a collective effort amongst the entire front office in terms of the way everything has come together. Our director of pro personnel, Mike Parnell, just did a phenomenal job of organizing his group and our scouts out in the field, and just so many people working together to make today happen. So it would be short-sighted not to mention what goes into a day like today and the excitement for the organization and what we have to look forward to. It's the collective effort of so many to give this organization, our team, and most importantly, our fans a chance at another World Series. And that's what was in mind with everything we did today. So, with that, we'll get into questions.
Hey, go ahead, Evan.
Um, Chris, Ross, first of all, how tired are you guys right now?
I think we're Evan. I won't speak for Ross. I think we're both excited in terms of the adrenaline of what the last 72 hours have led to. You go into this with you're prepared for a number of different things, and then you just never know how it's going to materialize. And all the hard work and preparation that our group did allowed Ross and I to really make very good decisions. And we're just very thankful to the staff, to our group, and also to our ownership for the support that they've given us in terms of being able to do this. And so, just I think the adrenaline is carrying us through, but more than anything, my mind is just fried. I can't even keep names straight right now. So that's probably the biggest thing. And Ross, you can probably follow up on that.
I feel great.
Yeah.
No, I think that's well put. Yeah, very, very similar spot right now.
Listen, I don't know how to put all this together, but the Kelly move obviously was, I think in terms of profile, had the biggest profile and obviously the biggest package. Um, your starting pitching has been so good this year, and you went out and got a really good starting pitcher. Can you just walk us through a little bit like how you got in that direction and what you were trying to do with that move?
Yeah, I'll start, and Ross can fill in the gaps here. I'm sure I'm going to omit something, but really, Evan, as we came into the deadline, we evaluated our team and really saw what our areas of need are. And then we do a lot of analysis in terms of what are the best ways to make this team even stronger. And sometimes that's adding to a strength, and sometimes that's improving a weakness. And some of that is dictated by the market as well. So as we got into the discussions, we felt like given the players that were on the market, the best way for us to improve our club was to really attack our pitching and make sure that one, we fortify our rotation, not just in terms of the quality, but in terms of the depth as well. We have to look at what could go wrong, and we have to consider, all things that could potentially limit us in terms of making the playoffs. And then secondly, how to really improve our bullpen. And so those were two priorities for us. I can't say that we had that prioritized at the outset more than we did, addressing the offense, but we did as we went through the discussions. It became clear to us that pitching was a way that we could really make this team better, and we were focused on it. Ross, anything to add on that?
No, I think that's well put. Just the only thing I'd say is so much of this is dictated, as CY said, by what's out there and available in the market and ways in which we can upgrade the club. And I think anytime you have a chance to add somebody of, a Merrill Kelly stature to a rotation, we're thinking about how this plays not only for the rest of the season, but into the postseason. Somebody with that pedigree fits right in, and not to mention the others that we add to the bullpen as well, and just fortifying what has been a strength for us this year, and just continue to build upon that as we try to complete this roster. So we feel good with what we were able to accomplish here and how we were able to round out this group.
Evan, I know it's your first Zoom, but you got to unmute yourself.
Right. Sorry, last one. I'm trying to keep the ice cream machine from not getting into the sound here. So on Kelly, there are a couple of things, right? The package you put together was a really good package, a really strong package with those three pitchers. And I think you had that package to go and get somebody of a kind of high profile stature. You chose rotation. Could you have used that for a bullpen guy? And did you think rotation here is where the value is higher from a business standpoint?
Yeah, some of it's just supply and demand, and it was a very strong market for back end bullpen arms, and we were prepared on all fronts to address whether there's the back end of the rotation, the back end of the bullpen, or the rotation, and so we felt like what we were able to do with our rotation and adding Merrill Kelly to go with the starting rotation that we have right now was and then fortify the back end and the bullpen collectively with the two additions. We felt like that was just overall making our pitching staff as strong as it could possibly be, and not addressing just one specific need, but fortifying the entire staff, so to speak.
And the second part of that was how you don't get this deal done without ownership saying and changing gears a little bit and saying, I'm okay with going over the CBT level.
The only real conversation with ownership, Evan, and I can't emphasize this enough, is do what it takes to win. And that for us is just unbelievably supportive. And we're very fortunate. I recognize that there are a lot of markets, a lot of teams that don't have the resources that we have, and so for ownership to support us in that manner, they know. Ray knows he wants to win as badly as anybody, and he um, just made it very easy for us.
Okay, I'll mute myself now for a while.
Well, I'll go. Was the bullpen a priority? And once a certain number of guys left the board, did you then shift the priority to the rotation, or was it 1A and 1B the whole time?
Yeah, Jeff, I think we were looking for every opportunity, as we mentioned, to upgrade the club. And I think, both areas were spots where if the opportunities presented themselves, we were going to address. I think one of the things that we do really well as a group is, we reach out to everybody, we canvass the market, we see what's out there, and any and every way that we can upgrade the club, we're going to pursue. So I think a lot of these, you don't have a perfect order of operations as you're responding to the market, and you're going in to each conversation with the intent to upgrade the club. In terms of the sequencing of events, like, I think it's impossible to plan for that, and we're just looking to do the best work we can to fortify the group and to strengthen this staff as we make our postseason push.
What do you guys think of Coulombe and Maton?
Can you take that again? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good pronunciation there on Coulombe. It's been a tricky one in the
We
room.
struggle with that internally a little bit, but I think we got it.
I think what we like about them is, both of them are pitched medium to high leverage spots. They're split agnostic. They can get both lefties and righties out. They're experienced. They're hyper competitive. They're unique in how they go about it. It adds to our group in terms of different angles and different pitches that we have out there. It shortens the game for us in many ways, so that we have a better sequence of events at the end of games to just secure more wins. And we just feel really good about the additions and the types of guys that they are and the stuff that they bring to our bullpen.
Obviously, with getting Merrill, that gives you guys 6 starters. I'm gonna guess you'll let the weekend shake it out, but it seems like potentially you can add a leverage arm to the bullpen if it indeed Rocker and or Leiter is the choice.
Yeah, to be determined. I think equally important is, really adding to the bullpen was protecting our starting pitchers. And we have, with Jacob and Evo, Kamar, Jack, and Patrick, some guys that have been great all year in terms of taking the ball and pitching, but we also know that we've got to protect them from an inning standpoint. Down the stretch, having 2 young pitchers that have never really pitched into September, so to speak, after a full season, there're just some things that we needed to protect against. And I think by acquiring Merrill, we're protecting ourselves and we're also making them all stronger by being able to, one, shorten games with a quality bullpen, and two, being, having a number of guys, whether it's John Gray or whomever, can slide into the rotation and do spot starts. Jake Latz has done that this year. It's just there's strength in numbers, and I think we saw this in 2023 when we were able to get to the postseason, and we don't take that for granted how hard it is to get there. But Boch and Mike and Dave Bush and Jordan Teagues and the staff, they're tremendous at really deploying these guys in a number of different manners that allow us the chance to match up well with opponents. So it's really creating flexibility and optionality, and flex and being able to interchange some of these guys at different times to give them a blow if they need that. And I'm not saying any of them do. We haven't figured out what the rotation will look like beyond maybe this weekend, but I do feel very confident we have very good options.
And then the last thing for me from now, do you guys, you couldn't get another catcher or a bench bat. How important is it to get a catcher though, with the depth and Higashioka's potentially balky hamstring?
Yeah, it's, you need catching, and we'll continue to look at ways to fortify that as well. We've got some irons in the fire in terms of the AAA depth, and we'll keep looking for all ways to protect ourselves.
Okay, thanks.
Hey guys, Chris, you kind of mentioned this earlier, but in terms of the offense, that wasn't an area you upgraded. Can you just, I guess, walk us through and expand on kind of what that process looked like? And was it more the market? Was it the confidence you have in the existing team? What did that look like as you went through this week?
Yeah, I think Sean, I appreciate you asking. I think more than anything, it's the latter. We have immense confidence in our guys and our position player core, and I've said this all along. I said this going back to last offseason. The best upgrades that we can have to our team is just the standard performance from our 13 position players. We really believe in these guys, and I think since June 1st and into July, these guys have been very, very good, and the run production has increased immensely. Our hitting group has done a great job of getting these guys and on the same page, and I really am happy with what we've seen, and now it's about continuing that. We're going to get, we just got Jock back. He's not in midseason form yet. We got to get him going, but he'll get there. We're going to get Jake Berger back. Chris Martin's coming back on the pitching side, and our hope is Tyler Malley's going to be back at some point, maybe Josh Spores as well. So, we have some internal additions coming both on the position player side and the pitching side that I think can make this team even stronger. But that we believe in our hitting group tremendously, and that was a big factor in our focus this deadline.
Hey guys, just on the bullpen, obviously you guys added those two arms, and I guess the expectation Robert Garcia kind of continues closing games down the stretch, or is that more of a Boch question?
I think we'll leave that to Boch. I mean, I think, Kennedy, one of the great things about our team is that we have a number of arms that we feel confident in, whether it's pitching the fifth and sixth inning or the eighth and ninth. And they may be required to do that in different roles. And we sort of leave it to Boch. We can talk through it, and maybe roles evolve a little bit, but we've got some really quality options, in our opinion, that allow Boch and the staff to mix and match, and the best way to close games are.
And I guess the expectation is still that Tyler Malley will return in the coming, last 2 months of this season as of now.
Correct.
See why, as happy as you guys are with what you were able to do today. When you look at what this division did today, the whole division got better. So just talk about what that kind of sets up for these last couple of months of the season.
We talked about that internally, not in terms of the motivation for us. Our job is to make this team as good as possible, independent of what's going on outside here. But we did talk about how fun this could be, with three teams really kind of going for it here. And obviously, Houston has played great baseball. We all know how good Seattle is and what they did to improve. And we hope we made significant improvements to our team as well. So, Stephen, it's fun baseball, and this is what it's for. I mean, we were talking about how fun October was in 2023 and how much it meant to our fans and hosting playoff games. And we're motivated and we believe this team is capable of that. That's our expectation. And we want to give them every resource possible to go make that happen. And, it didn't, the external moves didn't change our course of action, but we did notice it. And I commend those teams for pushing in just the same way we did.
Are you going to have to facilitate a meeting between Phil Maton and Josh Young?
I'm sure they'll be fine when they're competing for a championship together. These guys are they'll be fine.
Exactly. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Ross, how do you evaluate the farm system after these trades?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime that you trade it's 7 players from the farm system, it takes a little bit of a hit, but we think we're still in a good spot. We feel like we have layers of depth in the organization. I think Kip and his group did a tremendous job in this draft to add another one behind that. I think it speaks volumes to the way that things are working between the amateur procurement process and our player development system, that a lot of these guys that we traded were not necessarily, I don't think, anything higher than third or fourth round picks. And being able to take interesting players from all different parts of the draft and in trades as well, and continue to get the very best out of them, I think speaks volumes to the work that's being done right now. So yeah, I think we're looking forward to what this next wave has, and we'll continue to evaluate that. But we're excited about the additions that we're able to make at the major league level.
Jeff, I'm going to piggyback on what Ross said, and one, just commending the amateur scouting group in terms of the identification of really quality players that have allowed us to make these moves, and secondly, the player development group who've developed these guys and put these guys in a position that have allowed us to access really good major league players. So it's pretty awesome to see how well those two groups have functioned. Certainly, the system got a little depleted today. But what you guys don't see are all the good players that we were asked on that were held out of deals. And I think that's equally important in terms of evaluating the health of the system. And it also gave us kind of a gauge or barometer in terms of how the industry views our system. And I'm very pleased with a lot of the asks we got that we were able to keep.
All right, guys, thanks.
CY, do you anticipate that Merrill Kelly will pitch in this series?
I don't want to jump the gun here, but I hope he does.
Okay. I think today would have been his day, just looking back, and I didn't know if there was going to be time for him to get up here and pitch, or what would be the deal.
Yeah, Evan, we're kind of working through that internally, and when Boch is ready to announce, he will. But we'll see how Merrill, there's change, and we respect that these guys go through things. There's emotions. He's been a Diamondback and did some great things there, and he's got a family, and we just want to make sure he's ready to go whenever he's ready, and we'll support him with that. But we know when he takes the ball, we've seen it firsthand playing against him, and we have heard from so many people what an ultra competitor he is, and we're so happy he's a Ranger.
Hey Ross, on the trade packages in particular, you took 2 guys in last year's draft, Garrett Horn and David Hageman, both of whom were coming back from Tommy John, had not pitched, really didn't pitch until just recently, and helped parlay them into 2 pieces for a team that's contending. Since you use terms like split agnostic and other business phrases, would you like to comment on just how that lines up on a business model? It seems like you really leverage those picks.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it leverage. I mean, I think ultimately what we're trying to accomplish anytime we select a player is who can help to make the Texas Rangers better. And I don't think that one of what we see as a potential competitive advantage here is the way that our medical and performance team works with some of these players, and to be able to rehab them. Keith Comstock out in Arizona, Napoleon Pichardo and his team, and a whole host of other people that go into this process. We feel very confident that we're going to be able to take pitchers that need their rehab process finished and be able to get them back to a point where they're at their very best self. And we think if we do that and our evaluations of the talent is right, we're going to create a lot of value for the organization. Our hope is that we see it through with them as Texas Rangers, but if not, we're going to do what we can to make sure this team is very competitive. So,
And see why I just going back to this, when you talk about making a strength stronger, this team's defense has ranked number one in the big leagues all year. You've had the best ERA in the big leagues. It does, if I'm going to pull an old baseball adage here, it does feel like you're betting on pitching and defense wins championships.
Well, yes. Yeah, and I think we've got a great collection of hitters as well that have really been producing offensively. So I think what wins championships are great teams that really do everything really well and maybe are elite in certain facets of the game. But I think most importantly, it's hungry teams that play for each other, that go out and have a competitive spirit and belief and fight day in, day out. That's what wins championships, and that's what I believe we have. And I think we brought in three competitors into this organization today who are going to fit right in with our clubhouse and that winning spirit. And we have a winning manager and coaching staff, and I think this sets up well to do some really fun things. And I'm excited for what these next 2 months are going to entail.
And just last thing, I know that you said a lot of this is to be determined, but would you rule out the possibility of using Leiter or Rocker as a reliever at some point this year?
I mean, we just can't say at this point. We need to look at matchups, and there's, some of this will be data-driven decisions. Some of it will be subjective. It'll be conversations with the staff. I can't. I don't think it's fair to the players to read what's in store for them before we have those discussions. So I can't say at this point. We have great options. I will say that.
That's perfect. All fair. I just wanted to make sure I at least tried to clarify. All good.
No, I appreciate it. We truly don't have it mapped out yet. I just want you to know that we have not discussed that.
Thanks.
Okay.
Good.
With that, we'll end it. We appreciate CY and Ross taking time after some long days here, and guys, get some rest, and thanks for doing this.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
thank you guys.